Let's talk a little bit about how things are going right now when it comes to the real estate industry, particularly in some of the places that have been hit the hardest, like New York City. What are you seeing in terms of what tenants are willing to do, both on the commercial side and on residential side?
Well, I mean, today, the part of the real estate industry that's really the most hard hit is really your retail and your hotels. I mean, I think most corporations are looking forward to coming back to work, to paying the rent. And I think, people have gotten by working at home, but I think everybody really wants to get back to work. And the residential, a lot of people have kind of moved their second homes out of New York City, certainly. But I think most people are really looking forward to coming back to the office. And, we all want to see, life back to normal. And we hear about the vaccine, and as you earlier talked about. I mean, that's certainly encouraging words for, I think, all of us.
Yeah. In the meantime, what are you seeing in terms of what people can do in terms of paying rent? And let's start on retail, because that's been the hardest hit. How many of your retail customers are actually paying rent now?
All the retail, most of the retail in this country is shut down. Some of the larger corporations, public companies are paying rent, but at the same time, you see many of them have filed bankruptcy. Even markets, J. Crew, and it goes on from there. JCPenney. In small business, the smaller retailers, the restaurants. I mean, that's really where the crisis really lies. Once we get back to normal, the impact on them is tremendous, and many of them probably don't have the wherewithal to reopen.
So what happens next, Stephen?
I mean, that's really the question. I think people today are really concerned, with the health and getting through this pandemic. But when it's over, and hopefully the sooner the better, obviously. A lot of people won't be able to go back to business. And this is what's going to slow down the economy. It's the small business not being able to really operate, and the amount of bankruptcies that might incur. A lot of them are not able to pay their rent. And, you're going to have such a flood of cases in going to the bankruptcy court. And when you have so much activity over such a long period of time, and these aren't really the type of bankruptcies that were induced by, bad practices, or it's really, all driven by the pandemic, that, there's probably going to be a lot of bad law. And I think this is really where I think Congress has to really look at things and how do they get those back together, because our country can't really move forward if you don't have small business being active and employing people. And, this is something that I think, has to really be addressed. But, it's hard to address that now when people are really concerned with, just getting food, if you will. When you look at the unemployment rolls and how they've, grown so much, you got to, deal with the basics. But I think, we have to really start thinking about now that people are going back to work, what are we going to do with small business? What are the people going to do to be employed? And I think that's really, the biggest issue that's really going to come out of this.